When Margaret turned 72, the walls of her apartment felt heavier than before. The morning sun still filtered through the curtains, and the kettle still whistled at 8 a.m., but the laughter, footsteps, and shared silences of a life once full had faded. Her husband had passed 4 years ago. Her daughter called on Sundays, and the neighbors were kind but distant. The silence was no longer restful. It was dense, almost echoing. Yet, as unsettling as that quiet could be, Margaret knew something essential. Living alone didn't mean living in fear or helplessness. Many older adults find themselves in similar shoes. Friends drift away, family gets busy, and the days stretch longer. It's easy to feel invisible or vulnerable. But the truth is, solitude is not the enemy. It's how we live within it that makes the difference. With the right habits, even someone living entirely alone can feel secure, vibrant, and independent. Living alone carries risks, yes, but they aren't just about isolation. They're about what happens when no one sees you trip on a rug, or when a forgotten pill causes complications. These are not dramatic Hollywood scenarios. They are small, real, and avoidable. And the way to avoid them isn't by giving up autonomy. It's by creating a life structured for safety and dignity. The strongest older adults are not the ones who wait for someone to come and check on them. They're the ones who set their days, in motion with thoughtful routines and quiet confidence. They don't rely on luck or assume someone else will notice. They prepare, prevent, and protect, not out of fear, but out of care. It starts with awareness. Safety is not just about locks on the front door. It's in every detail. The lighting in the hallway, the medication schedule on the fridge, the way a phone is placed by the bed. Every small decision becomes a thread in the fabric of a secure life. This story isn't about resignation. It's about empowerment. It's about understanding that a good life in later years is not determined by who shares your roof, but by how you shape your space, your time, and your priorities. If you're 60, 70, or 80, and you want to face tomorrow with calm, strength, this journey is for you. Because growing older doesn't mean fading away. It means living smarter, with grace and purpose. And that begins with 5 simple habits. Not rules, but lifelines that can make living alone a choice. Of freedom, not fear. Every morning at exactly 8:15, Arthur, age 83, sends a short message to his granddaughter. All good, coffee's on. It's not a plea for attention, nor a sign of dependence. It's a ritual, small, consistent, and powerful. That message is their daily handshake, their quiet pact. If the message doesn't arrive by 10 a.m., his granddaughter knows to check in. It's not about hovering or control, it's about peace of mind, for both. The first habit on the path to safe and confident living alone is daily contact. Not long, not intrusive, just a moment of connection. A quick good morning text, a wave to a neighbor, or a short phone call to a friend. It's less about conversation and more about confirmation. I'm here. I'm okay. This tiny act turns a silent morning into a signal of life and routine. For those who don't use a phone often, visual cues work too. One woman in her 70s simply opens her kitchen curtains each morning. Her neighbor across the street, who enjoys his tea by the window, knows that if by noon the curtains are still drawn, it's worth a knock. They've never discussed it formally, but it's understood. A silent agreement built on trust. There are also simple technologies now available. Devices and apps allow for daily check-ins with one tap. Some even alert a contact if a regular login is missed. These tools don't invade privacy, They offer a layer of quiet support. Think of it as a seatbelt, not because you expect an A-to-A accident, but because you respect your safety. This habit of daily confirmation also brings a subtle but profound benefit. Structure. It anchors the day. Knowing that someone expects a sign from you, even something as small as a wave or a message, gives purpose to the morning. It encourages regular wake-ups, movement, even grooming, all vital for mental well-being. Take Peter, a retired teacher living alone in a countryside home. He doesn't speak much, but every day at 9 a.m. he feeds the pigeons outside his window. His neighbor, passing by on the way to work, glances at the yard. No birds, no Peter. He'll stop by. These connections don't strip you of independence. They guard it. They say, I live alone, but not unobserved. I value my freedom, and I also value my life enough to keep it safeguarded. So whether it's a text, a curtain, a bird feeder, or a nod to someone passing by, make it your habit. Not for them, for you. When Elaine tripped on the corner of a loose rug in her hallway, she didn't fall hard. Just a stumble, a bruise, a moment of surprise. But for days afterward, she moved more slowly, more cautiously. What scared her wasn't the fall itself, but the thought, what if it had been worse? What if no one had known? That one misstep made her look at her home with different eyes, not as a place of comfort, but as a place full of small, hidden hazards. The second habit for living safely alone is fall prevention. This doesn't mean wrapping the house in cushions or living in fear. It means looking clearly, honestly, and practically at your space. Most injuries at home don't come from major disasters. They come from the everyday. A loose rug, a dim hallway, a slippery bathroom tile. The danger isn't in complexity. It's in familiarity. We stop seeing the risks in places we move through daily. Start by walking through your home with fresh perspective. Imagine you're visiting someone for the first time. Or, better yet, imagine you're using a cane or walker. Are there cords in the way? Do you have to stretch or bend for common items? Is the lighting clear at night? Ask yourself, if I were tired or dizzy, could I move safely through this? Small changes make a massive difference. Replace throw rugs with non-slip mats. Secure electrical cords along walls. Install grab bars in the shower and next to the harim toilet, not as an admission of weakness, but as an investment in freedom. Better to hold on than fall. Place nightlights in the hallway and near the bathroom, and make sure everything you use daily is within easy reach. Shoulder to waist level is ideal. Footwear matters too. Slippers may feel cozy, but without proper grip, they're a quiet threat. Choose shoes with firm soles and back support. It's not about fashion, it's about staying upright. Elaine, after her scare, removed 2 rugs, added a motion sensor nightlight, and replaced her kitchen stool with a chair that had arms. I didn't realize how many tiny obstacles I'd accepted, she said. Now, I walk through my house without that little whisper of worry. That whisper, that question of what if, doesn't need to follow you room to room. Your home should be your safest place, not a hidden obstacle course. These changes aren't overreactions. They're quiet declarations. I choose to live prepared. I choose to live free. David had always prided himself on being independent. At 81, he still made his own meals, read the newspaper cover to cover, and walked to the corner store every Thursday. But over time, something began to shift. He couldn't quite place it, at first. Names slipped away more often. He'd open the fridge and forget what he came for. One day, he stood in front of the stove, unsure if he'd already turned the burner off or hadn't even started cooking. These weren't dramatic episodes, just small lapses that felt like a fog creeping in quietly. The third essential habit for living safely alone is developing the skill of self-observation, listening carefully to your body and mind. It's not about paranoia or imagining problems. It's about learning to notice patterns, subtle changes, and early signals before they grow into real risks. You don't need a degree in medicine to observe yourself wisely. All it takes is intention. Start by creating a simple weekly check-in ritual. Once a week, perhaps every Sunday evening, ask yourself a few meaningful questions. Did I sleep well this week? Did I have an appetite? Did I feel pain anywhere unusual? Was my energy steady? Did I forget anything important or feel confused? Write the answers down in a small notebook or even on a calendar. This journal becomes a conversation with yourself, one rooted in care, not fear. Over time, patterns begin to emerge. You might notice that poor sleep always comes after skipping your evening walk, or that your appetite dips when you don't talk to anyone for a couple of days. These insights are gold. They guide action. There's a story of Evelyn, 79, who began writing down her energy levels each day, rating them from 1 to 5. After 3 weeks, she noticed that her scores dropped significantly after missing breakfast. Just that one change, making sure she ate in the morning, restored her strength and clarity. "I had no idea," she said. "I thought it was just age, but it was my own routine." Of course, self-observation also helps catch early signs of serious conditions. Confusion, dizziness, persistent sadness, lack of appetite, all deserve attention. Noticing them early can lead to quick help and smoother recovery, but only if you're paying attention. Think of it like tending a garden. The weeds don't appear overnight. They creep in slowly. But if you walk your garden each week, look closely, listen gently, you'll notice what needs trimming or care. Your body and mind are the same. They speak in quiet signals. All you need to do is listen. Clara had lived in the same house for over 40 years. Every corner held a memory. The creak in the hallway, the chipped tile by the sink, the tall cupboard where she kept her good china. But after her husband passed, and the children stopped visiting so often, the house began to feel less like a home and more like a challenge. The steps up to the porch seemed steeper. Reaching for the kettle on the top shelf required a small act of courage. It wasn't that Clara had become frail, it was that her space no longer fit her life. The fourth habit for safe and confident living alone is adapting your home to suit your current needs. Not a renovation, not a massive project, just thoughtful, purposeful changes that make daily living easier and safer. It's about comfort, not luxury. Simplicity, not compromise. Start with lighting. Aging eyes need more light, especially at night. Swap dim bulbs for brighter ones. Add sensor nightlights. In hallways, bedrooms, and bathrooms, these little lights can prevent big accidents. If you get up during the night, they guide your steps without fumbling for switches. Next, look at where your essentials are stored. Are your everyday dishes on a high shelf? Is your medicine in a drawer that requires bending? Reorganize. The Reese. Items you use daily should be within easy reach. No climbing, no crouching. Clara moved her kettle, plates, and morning medications to a waist-level shelf. "It sounds silly," she said, "but now I don't sigh before making tea." Examine your furniture, too. Are the chairs supportive? Is the bed too low or too soft? Choose items that are easy to get in and out of. A firm chair with arms is easier to rise from than a soft couch. Consider replacing small details like doorknobs with lever handles. They're easier on stiff fingers. Also, think about the phone. If your main phone is in the kitchen, add one to the bedroom or living room. In an emergency, those extra seconds matter. And while smartphones are useful, don't underestimate the value of a basic landline that always works and is easy to operate. Adapting your space is not giving in. It's taking charge. It's saying, I respect myself enough to make life easier. Even if you feel strong today, your future self will thank you for every drawer lowered, every rug removed, every corner brightened. Because peace of mind often comes not from big changes, but from dozens of small ones that quietly say, this is my space, and it's here to support me. Gerald, 85, lived alone in a tidy apartment filled with books, photos, and silence. His days were quiet, orderly, and increasingly colorless. He read the newspaper, made meals, watched the news, and went to bed early. There was no crisis, no clear sadness, but also no laughter, no voices, no sense of being part of something larger. One afternoon, his niece visited unexpectedly. She stayed for an hour, telling stories from work, asking about his garden, laughing. When she left, Gerald sat in his chair and realized how long it had been since he'd felt connected to another person. The fifth and final habit for safe, meaningful living alone is maintaining social connection. Not occasional visits or holiday cards, but steady, living contact with the world. Loneliness isn't always loud. Often it creeps in quietly, behind routines that look normal but feel increasingly empty. Social connection is not about being surrounded by people. It's about knowing you matter to someone, somewhere. That your presence, your voice, your time, your care makes a difference. Even brief interactions can lift the spirit and bring structure to the day. Start small. A phone call with a friend once a week, a regular chat with a neighbor, a scheduled video call with family. These moments add rhythm to your week and create bridges to others. If you're comfortable with technology, join a virtual book club or discussion group. If not, write letters, yes, real letters, and exchange them with old friends or new acquaintances. For those who feel the absence of daily companionship, consider the warmth of a pet. A cat, a small dog, even a bird brings life and responsibility into your space. Nora, 84, adopted a senior rescue dog and said, "Now someone waits for me. That changes everything." Another path is purposeful connection, sharing your time or skills. You can read stories to children online, help others learn to use email, knit for shelters, or record your memories for a local history archive. Every person has something to give. Offering your presence reminds you that you still have value. Not someday, but today. Even short, casual exchanges help. Saying hello to the postal worker. Waving at the neighbor. Attending a community event or workshop. These are more than pleasantries. They are reminders that you are seen. Gerald joined an online chess group. Once a week, he played with someone new and exchanged a few words. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make him feel part of the world again. Because in the end, connection isn't decoration. It's the foundation of a resilient, joyful life, especially when you live it on your own. When Helen turned 80, she made a decision. Not a dramatic one. There was no move to a new city or radical change of lifestyle. She simply rearranged a few things in her home, set a morning routine, joined a weekly community call, and started, keeping a small notebook where she checked in with herself every Sunday. "I live alone," she said, "but I'm not waiting for something to go wrong. I'm building a life where I'm already okay." That is the quiet truth behind aging well alone. It's not luck, not denial, not stubbornness. It's intention. 5 small habits: daily contact, a fall-safe home, self-awareness, adaptive comfort, and regular connection form a strong foundation. Each one is simple. Together, they create a life that feels solid, steady, and full of quiet confidence. Living alone doesn't mean living in fear. It can mean freedom. Freedom to set your pace, to rest when you choose, to enjoy solitude without anxiety. But that freedom comes from preparation, from choosing to care for yourself not just emotionally, but practically. Every check-in, every secure rug, every friendly call is an act of self-respect. Old age is not a decline. It's a shift, a new chapter with a different rhythm. There may be fewer people in the house, but there can be more clarity, more peace, more space to think, reflect, and live on your own terms. You are not becoming less, you are becoming distilled. And the strength it takes to live well alone is not the absence of weakness, it's the presence of wisdom. There will be hard days, of course, days when the silence feels heavy, when the body aches more than usual, when memories press in a little too close. But those days are not signs of failure. They are part of the human experience. And when you've built habits that support you, even the heavy days feel manageable. Helen, now 83, still lives in that same house. She opens her curtains each morning, sends her daughter a message, stretches her legs in the sun, and listens to birds from her window. "I don't feel alone," she says. "I feel like I've made peace with my life. I've given it shape." That's what these habits are really about. Not just protection, but purpose. Not just avoiding harm, but creating stability. When you live alone, you are both the captain and the crew of your ship. And with the right care, the right rituals, and the right mindset, you can sail, not drift, through this chapter with grace, strength, and deep contentment.